Right. Imagination is the ability to originate an image.
You went, I don't know, 100 years ago and told someone that you will be able to see someone on this small box called the phone. You'll be talking to them live and then doing what we're doing today. They'll be like, you're nuts.
All of that was a figment
In
someone's imagination. When I was your age, the information arrives in the heart and then it is transmitted to the brain. So we've got to take imagination and we've got to combine it with purpose. If you have imagination without purpose, what you've got is fantasy.
Good evening and welcome to another live chat with Tshepo Tabane and David Wyllie. Our topic of discussion this evening with David Wyllie is developing the genius of imagination. David Wyllie is the founder of the Growthpoint Organization and has been teaching exceptional performance to achieve extraordinary results since 1974. He is an expert at bridging the gap between possibility and reality. His focus is on expanding awareness and exploring infinite possibility of self with the emphasis on developing the entrepreneur. His passion is teaching entrepreneurs to work in perfect harmony with the natural law that governs our universe in order to prosper and lead a fulfilling life. He has helped train thousands of world-class entrepreneurs and helped them join the US Millionaires Club. Tshepo Tabane has long been committed to uplifting his community to ensure that the youth of his village are not excluded from the activities that are responsible for shaping the world. He's a powerful, inspirational and thought-provoking speaker. He is a charismatic storyteller and has been speaking for more than 6 years at various institutions. He also runs a mentorship program. He is a board member of the African Leadership Academy's Student Enterprises and a mentor of the Alan Gray Foundation. I am the host and the background moderator, Bart Kurak. The program is as follows. We will have our live chat and discussion during which you, the Facebook viewers, will be welcome to post comments and questions which we will take at the end of the session. I will see you while Dave and Michael are having their discussion. But without further ado, welcome to Michael and David.
Thanks, Bart.
Thank you so much, Bart, for that beautiful introduction. And then welcome, David, to Bart's house. I don't know if it happens that people welcome people in other people's houses. But yeah, so thank you so much, Dave, for taking the time to want to do this, to want to have this amazing conversation, which I believe will be quite great, and which I believe it's a conversation that needs to be heard. So without wasting any time, because I know you and I can go on and on and on for hours, so without wasting any time, the topic, which is developing the genius of imagination. Developing, one, can it be developed, number one, and number two, what is the genius of imagination, and why? What was the inspiration behind you saying developing the genius of imagination?
Wow. Imagination is actually a tool that God, the universe, gave us so that we could envisage a world that does not yet exist, so that we could become its creator. It is the thing that moved mankind from the cave. Imagination.
So then what you're saying is that we as humanity would not move an inch had it not been for this ability or capacity to imagine things that are not yet.
Yeah, well, our brain works on memory.
Yes.
All right, so if all we are capable of doing is remembering what was, then we would still be living in caves because we would still be remembering what was. Somebody worked out that there was something better than a cave. All right, yes. Somebody worked out that there was something better than the Stone Age. The world didn't run out of stones, so man didn't have to invent something else.
Yes.
Okay, somebody said there's something better than a Stone Age. In his time, that person was probably a lunatic.
Yeah, true.
Because the whole world the historic point of view of the world would have been that you can't have anything harder than a stone. The same thing happened when somebody invented a wheel, that he was probably a lunatic.
I see what you mean.
Right.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So is there is there a faculty somewhere in our heads, in our spirits, in our emotions, like I don't know where, in our being, where there's, I would say, the source of that imagination, so to say. Like you say, like brain is memory. It's remembering things that happened. So with imagination, these are things that have never happened. And then, like you were saying, if you went, I don't know, 100 years ago and told someone that you will be able to see someone on this small box called a phone, you'll be talking to them live and then doing what we're doing today, they'll be like, you're nuts. You know what I mean?
And that wasn't 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's not
right. I was running this business.
Yes.
And all of that was science fiction.
Sure.
It's a world that you can't even imagine not living in. All right. But when I was a young man,
yes,
in South Africa anyway, there wasn't even television. I was already running my training programs before television ever came to South Africa.
Wow. So what would you say is the source of our imagination?
What is the source of our imagination? Our soul.
Okay, now you're talking.
Now I've got you.
Now you got me.
All right. There's three parts of us. We're a triangle.
Yes.
All right. There's a greater part of us that generally is referred to as our soul. Psychology refers to it as a superconscious. Okay, but we're talking about bananas and pisangs. We're talking about the same thing,
same difference,
just giving it different names. All right. No one has ever found the space in the human brain that actually thinks.
Okay, I get you.
Okay, thinking doesn't happen in the brain. We process information in the brain. The thinking happens as inspiration from another source. That other source is our greater being, which is an infinite being.
Wow, I'm blown. Okay. 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 Let me, breathe in and make sure that I understand you 100%. Right? So, our brains are actually the tools that will facilitate the process of whatever the source of all creativity, or like the source of creativity, has sort of, uploaded or dropped on our heads, so to say.
Well, it actually doesn't drop it on your head even. It drops it into your heart, believe it or not. We now know, because we've got the technology to measure it, that our heart gives off far more electromagnetic energy than our brain does. And that the information arrives from somewhere out there, let's call it the soul, all right, from our superconscious. It doesn't really matter what name we give it. The information arrives in the heart, and then it is transmitted to the brain. And the brain is an organism. I've got the right word, eh?
Yes.
It is an organism.
Yes.
That takes the electromagnetic energy and sets up a magnetic field that brings atoms and molecules to itself and creates that which we perceive as reality.
I see what you mean. And so Dave, since we're talking about imagination, right? Because I was trying to get the science behind it. I was trying to get the source behind it, like where this thing comes from, how did it come about, so on and so forth. So now, what do you think, if imagination is so important, what do you think is the reason for people not to always imagine the possibilities that they want for themselves, or the life that they want for themselves?
All right. Well, firstly, as young people, we were taught that imagination was fantasy. All right. And we were told to stop fantasizing.
Yeah. Stop dreaming.
Yeah. We went to school and we were told to take our imagination and stick it in a box somewhere. Stop fantasizing and get logical.
What's dangerous about that?
Sorry?
What's dangerous about stopping to imagine and then being real? So like people like to say.
All right. Well, you see, when a young child imagines,
Yes.
that child is able to create all that it is imagining.
Yes.
That's our natural tool. But the system we live in wants us to be system conformed.
Oh,
Needs us to conform
Got that.
to the system. So we go to school and we learn that imagination is something that silly kids do, and it leads us astray, and we must replace it with logic. Now, logic is history,
sure.
okay? Because you can't learn at school. You can't learn future possibilities. You can't study future possibilities. All right. And
Okay.
imagination
Okay.
deals with future possibilities. The interesting thing is we now know that the part of the brain that actually processes the imaginary stuff
Yes.
is exactly the same part of the brain that the eye sends messages to. So our brain does not know whether we're seeing something and it's real, or we imagining something and it's real.
Great.
But the information is still real. Right. Now, the biggest problem that we have, and especially in these crazy times that we're living in at the moment, is that our imagination has been set up in fear. We've
Now-
been told that we live in a dangerous world. We've been told that there's a pandemic running right in the world. And whatever we buy into in our imagination, we start to create as our personal brand of reality.
Yes. Because of that was the next question I was going to ask. I was going to ask you that in the world that we live in today, where the newspapers, TV, social media, everywhere you go, in the taxis, in the streets, everywhere, like you can tell that people are in fear. People are actually terrified. They don't know what's coming, what's coming, what's going, and so on and so forth. Then how do you go to a person who is that scared and tell them that, hey, by the way, like you can imagine a better future than the muddy place that you find yourself in today. So how do we start that conversation to begin with? Like, I don't know, like what guarantee do we have that what we imagine will definitely come about? Like, I'm talking about a person who does not believe that is possible, so to say.
All right. Well, if we don't believe it's impossible, if we believe it's impossible,
Then it is.
then it is impossible.
Then it is, yeah.
All right. Imagination is the seed of all possibilities.
Sure.
All right. So the whole social conditioning process that wants us to conform has told us what it wants us to believe is possible. Now, we've really got two choices. We can come back, if you go back to all the religions of the world say that we need to be childlike. Not childish,
Childlike, yeah.
childlike, like a child.
Yes.
A child has an incredible imagination.
True. Very true.
All right.
Very true.
The thing is, what happens as we go to school and we accept our parents' social conditioning, the school, the society, the village's conditioning, the conditioning of the elders, we can go on forever. All right. We start to get conditioned into history and conformity.
Agreed.
All right. And the thing we got to get right with this conformity thing is that conformity is a direct violation of our DNA. We wouldn't have absolutely unique DNA. No two people on planet Earth have the same DNA.
I see. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that means every one of us is exclusively us.
Yes.
And yet what we call education is trying to make us all fit into the tribe, all fit into the religion, all fit wherever we want to be put. But now you see the problem is Okay. Firstly, if you can't imagine it, you can't make it.
True. True.
You can't make it happen.
True.
All right. If you can't imagine it,
You
then
can't make it
it's
happen.
not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to get us to conform is to tell us what we should be imagining. Now,
I see what you
TV
mean.
tells us
I
what we
see
should
what
be
you mean. I see
imagining.
what you mean.
The media, social
I see
media,
what you mean.
everywhere,
I see what you mean.
telling us what we should.
So they are controlling the narrative that's going on in here.
Yeah.
By that way, by virtue of that, they will control the outcome that we will definitely produce.
Yeah. Because we then set up the reality.
Mm-hmm.
We were having dinner with somebody the other day, and they brought up a very interesting thing. So the only one thing we need to do to keep our sovereign integrity
Mm-hmm.
is never say yes.
Okay, I would like you to say that again.
The only one thing we need to do to keep our sovereign integrity
Mm-hmm.
is never say yes.
Sure. Sure.
As soon as we say yes to the media, as soon as we say yes to the political narrative, or whatever it is out there, we have given permission for us to become that set of pictures that has been put into our head, instead of taking our own unique set of pictures.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And then what can we do, Dave, to bring back the beauty, like the beauty that can be created by our imagination? Like, what can be done?
All right, the first thing we have to do is start dreaming again.
Ah,
Dreaming about the world we want,
yes.
instead of worrying about the world we've got.
Yes.
There's a huge difference.
I love that. I love that.
Right? So you start dreaming about the world you want, instead of worrying about the world you've got.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
And spend some time getting yourself back into nature. I was walking around the garden this morning, and we were watching all the beautiful new spring buds coming out on the trees, and the beautiful leaves and everything. And I said to Christine, my wife, I said, God, we live in a miracle.
Wow.
Okay, look at all the
Wow.
beauty that's going on around us.
Wow.
How can anybody live in fear
If
when
there's
there
such-
is so much beauty going on?
Ah,
You see, we're not doing things, the average person is not doing things to remind themselves about how incredible, beautiful the world is.
yeah.
We don't take time to watch the sunset, to see the beauty of the creation of the universe. Yeah.
I see. No, you're right, Dave. And you are so much on point. And like, to me, like, I don't know if people are aware of how lucky and fortunate they are to be having you talk to them like today, or talk, with me about this topic today. Very lucky in a sense that, Dave, I always tell people that you've been doing this thing longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, that's for true.
Yeah. So for more than 4 decades, you doing this work, right? What would you say is the biggest hindrance that stops people from accessing, like the faculty of their imagination? What would you say is the biggest?
A lack of self-knowledge.
Dave, please preach. Like, if you were a pastor, I was going to say, please preach. a lack of
All right.
self-knowledge.
You come back to all the religions of the world.
Know thyself.
All the religions of the world
Yeah.
say we created an image of God. Now, we all have a different idea what
Yeah.
the concept of God is.
Yeah.
All right, whether you call it God or the universe
Yeah.
or universal energy or whatever, it's,
Yeah.
again, we're talking about bananas and pisangs. And,
Yes.
all right. The point is that we pay lip service to that, but then we buy into the but. But we have been disconnected. We haven't been disconnected. But if we buy into that, then somebody can save us. Somebody can control us. If I am godly, a divine being, my soul is a divine being. All right. And my soul is having a physical experience on this planet.
100%.
My job isn't to find my soul on this planet.
100%.
All right. Just the process is completely reversed. All right. But someone who wants to control me tells me that they need to lead me back to my soul. All right. The government tells us that they need to keep us safe. The education system says that they need to enlighten us. Well, no enlightenment ever came from the educational system. Once you've learned to read, write, and do arithmetic, the only thing you're ever doing after that is studying history. The history of mathematics, the history of physics and chemistry, we can go on forever. Right? Everything that has been taken, that we take for granted, our beautiful cell phones, the TV sets that you watch, the cars we drive, the aeroplanes we fly in these days, were all figments of a lunatic's imagination a few years ago.
Very true, Dave. And then, as you rightly mentioned, so you just said that you've seen that from your experience, you've seen that one of the biggest problems or hindrances towards us accessing our imaginative faculties is lack of self-knowledge, which I think is the most powerful and most important thing on the planet Earth. Because if I don't know myself, chances are that I don't know why I'm here in the first place, And then what I want to know is that, what would you say are the, if you were to come up with some few things that you can mention that come to the top of your mind, that will help people to at least start or begin to understand who they are.
All right, the first one is to spend a lot of time in silence.
Okay. All right, okay.
Because in silence, when you get the noise of social conditioning and the noise of the media and everything out of your head, you will hear inspiration. All right. And inspiration, the word means to be inspired from within. It's your divine being talking to you.
So, like exactly what we were talking about now, of knowing and learning how like the importance of silence, what we hear when we are silent, when all of the noise that is happening is actually shut out, and then we are completely silent.
Okay, that's when we hear the voice of inspiration, our soul talking to us, God talking to us, whatever you would like to call it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're saying God's whispering in my ear or my soul's talking to me. It makes no difference. The point is that inspiration is telling us there's a better way.
Yeah, and you can feel it, hey? Like I remember, like when I attended like TAG for the first time, I asked you this question. I said, Dave, how do I differentiate between my voice, like my inner voice, like the BS that is happening in my head, and my soul talking to me, or and you said you will know, and you said to me, be still.
It will feel different.
It'll feel different.
Okay, the same voice is in your head. The only voice you ever hear in your head, unless you're a lunatic, is yours.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Because that voice is doing one of two things. It's either interpreting the information which you already have in your brain. You're processing information. We're told that is thinking, but that's not thinking. Processing information is not thinking.
Agreed.
And it's killing our imagination.
Agreed.
The thinking and the inspiration comes when we turn around and say, there is a better way. Okay, I can imagine somebody talking to me in real time from the other side of the world without even any lag. Now, when I was your age, if I had a conversation with somebody in Tokyo or Hong Kong or whatever, I would say something and have to wait. And then I would hear them answer me, and they would have to wait. All right. And now I can actually watch the person. We can have a live conversation, seeing each other.
Yeah.
Now, all of that was a figment
in someone's
imagination when I was your age.
Yeah.
All right.
I
now,
agree with you.
every one of us, the child in every one of us, can imagine this greater world, this better thing. And really, it's really quite simple. What don't you want in your life anymore?
I see what you mean.
Right? You don't have to go out there and change the world. You have to get out there and change your world. So what are you happy with? What don't you want anymore?
I see.
Take your attention off the things you don't want,
And
so
yeah.
that you stop imagining what you don't want. And put your attention into the world that does not yet exist,
Yeah.
that you want.
I remember in our last conversation, Dave, you said this. That moved me, like that got to me. You said that like our thoughts, like as we think we are, right? And then, but you said we'll always manifest the thought that is backed by the most emotion. So
Yeah.
where the emotions are mostly invested, that's where like the manifestation happens. And then you said that so that's why we need to focus on what we want and make sure that we give our whole selves, like emotional, with everything that we have to that, so that most of our emotion goes there. Because you said the emotion is actually the force, the driver, like behind that thing, behind whatever thought it is. Without our feelings, our emotions behind that thought, like that thought does not have the power that it actually should have, so to say.
Well, the word emotion means to put into motion.
Put into motion, yes.
Okay.
To move, yeah.
Thought is the electric impulse. All right. It's the digital information.
Yes.
Emotion is the magnetic energy.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So when you combine the digital input, the image,
Yes.
all right, imagination is the ability to originate an image. That's what the word means.
Yes. To originate in I love that.
Okay. And then we get emotionally involved in that. We put that image into motion. So now we've got an electromagnetic field.
I see.
And this space here isn't empty. If you move your hands like this, you can actually feel your hands bumping against what we think is empty space. Because it's full of stuff.
I agree.
It's full of stuff that we don't know how to measure, that we haven't got the senses to see. But it's full of atoms.
Yeah, I
And
agreed.
these atoms are being electromagnetically charged by the image and the emotion.
I see.
And they are creating what will be our new reality.
That's pretty deep, Dave. And then what I want to do, I don't want to be too selfish. I'm not sure if we were to ask Dr. Bart about maybe if there are any questions from the stream. And then if there are any questions from the stream, please bring those questions in, guys, and then talk to us, because if we are here for you. This is not only about me, it's about everybody. Anyone who does not know Dave personally, take this chance to actually ask Dave any question that you want to ask. But here's the question from Christine. She asks, I hope this is not the Christine I know. What is the difference between imagination and wishful thinking or fantasy?
Okay. Very important. Okay. Wishful thinking is literally fantasy, and it's fantasy because it is stuff that we are not prepared to commit to.
Sure. Wow.
All right. It's like all the people you know who actually don't want to do any work, but they buy a lotto ticket. Okay. They tell you that money is evil, but they buy a lotto ticket. All right. They're hoping to get rich, or hoping to become successful, to be recognized for something. What we've got to do is we've got to take imagination and we've got to combine it with purpose. If you have imagination without purpose, what you've got is fantasy.
Wow. Yo. So if it was a mathematical formula, so you'd say, imagination plus focus. That's
Purpose.
Okay.
Okay, first purpose. You have imagination And imagination needs to be linked to a purpose.
Post.
All right. And when you've got your purpose right, you've got to start acting. Right. You've also read Think and Grow Rich. I gave it to you as a textbook years ago.
Yes.
All right. In it, Napoleon Hill says, when you get an idea, when you get inspiration, you start whether you are ready or not.
I remember that.
All right. Now, if we don't put our imagination into a purpose that gives us passion and becomes bigger than us, and we don't start doing something, the universe says, this is just wishful thinking. Okay, this person is not interested. They're not committed. All right.
Sure.
All right. We are surrounded by spirit beings. We live in a universe that is far more incredible than we can even understand.
Yes.
But none of them, not even God, interferes with our gift of free will.
Yes.
All right. And our gift of free will says we can act on this or we don't have to act on it. And my understanding, and it's my understanding, all right, from 75 years of life experience, is that until we act on it, the universe, God, whatever you'd like to call it, doesn't believe that we are sincere. So no one comes to our assistance because this is just BS. We're just daydreaming.
Yeah.
The moment we commit, the moment we start doing something, even if we're doing the wrong thing, but we're doing it with the right intention, we will be led to coincidences that will set up other things for us so we can start to make it happen.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it. So Dave, like you've said before that like imagination is the foundation of creation.
Yeah.
Like, why is this? I know like you've somehow answered that in the beginning, but I would like you to delve a bit deep in it.
All right. Well, firstly, nothing can happen unless you have the thought, and the thought is creating a picture, which the brain is going to work on, and you have the emotional response to the picture. And incidentally, you can't actually have a thought without having a picture. Even accountants get all enthusiastic about numbers and crunching numbers. Now, personally, I don't get enthusiastic about crunching numbers unless it's the numbers I'm going to get from a big workshop that I'm running somewhere.
True.
All right. But we've got to just bring these things together. All right. We've got to listen to our inspiration. We've got to then convert that inspiration into a clear picture, a concise picture. The more accurate the picture is, the easier it is for our toolbox to go to work. And we've got a vast toolbox. We're just talking about a tiny piece of our toolbox here.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But if you imagining yourself having a new motor car and you don't choose the make or the color or anything, you might get an old dilapidated car off a scrap heap instead of the new one that you really wanted.
That's what you mean.
Okay. The more detail you can put into the picture, the more energy you're putting in the right direction. And then you feel it. And the whole thing is you feeling the future as if it is the present.
I see what you mean.
All right. I mean, even if you come back to religion, in Christianity, it says you don't ask for anything. You give thanks.
Yes. You mentioned that before, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, because the only reason why I would ask for something is because I haven't got it. So every time I ask, the universe says, well, you don't have it. And you don't want it because you don't have it. All right, so it's like reaching for something in front of me, but my fingers keep pushing it away.
Away all the time.
All right. The moment I turn around and say, thanks, universe, thanks, God, whatever it is, this is mine. Okay? You listen to me, like Father Christmas. When you're a child. You write letter to Father Christmas. Father Christmas reads the letter. And he knows exactly what you want. Now, our free will, we choose what we want. And we can choose anything. If we want to choose disease, if we want to choose poverty, or any of these things, or if we don't want it, but we choose it by default because we're too lazy to think. So the media thinks for us. The media tells us what we should have, who we are. Our parents tell us who we are. I had a mother who spent her life telling me, David, remember your status. Don't ever try to be what we are not.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Mom, I got a message for you, although you're somewhere else in the universe now.
Yeah.
Okay? I
yeah.
am not
Yeah.
what you thought I was going to be. All right?
I love that. I love that. Like, I love that, Dave. So, because the thing is, I think it's very important. It's very important for people to understand that they do really have the power to turn things around for themselves.
Yeah.
That they do have, like all the tools, all the instruments within themselves to actually make things happen for themselves. But however, it looks like what they are seeing in front of them, they think is all that there is, and then there is no way out of that. And then with your work, you are helping and, like helping us to think differently about these things. And then to know that we do really have that power. We really have that power to actually turn things around. So what I will do, I think it's time that we can call for our Q&As, so that for anyone who's streaming online, they can actually start to post those questions. Please, guys, post those questions. Dr. Bard is here. He will read some of the questions, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, one of the questions that we've got is from Bongiwe Mklongo. She says, when you invest time and energy and emotion to know yourself, do you feel that one is often met by rebellion from others who insist on their own perception of who you are, cognitive dissonance on both sides, and how do you yourself, Sir Dave, handle that?
All right, really, I don't care what people think about me. It's quite simple.
Yeah.
I have a saying that I've used as the foundation of my personal development for 40, 50 years now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I look myself in the mirror, when I'm cleaning my teeth before I go to bed at night, I've got to be able to say, of all the people I've met today, I'm proudest to know you.
Wow. Wow.
It doesn't matter what other people think of
That's
me.
beautiful, Dave. Yeah?
It only matters what I believe about me.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Like, I think once we start to have such a relationship with ourselves, yeah, I don't see myself handling myself the way I'm handling myself if I start to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put it. Sorry for interrupting. So I was just moved by you mentioning that phrase.
Okay, the other thing is when you make that decision, you
Yes.
take all the stress away. Because I'm not working to please anybody now. I'm only working focused on my dream. My dream is serving people anyway. Right? So people say, oh, that's so selfish. But it's not selfish at all. Because the only thing I have to trade with the world, and every one of us earns a living trading with the world. Only thing I have to trade is my greatest possibility. So my job is to create my greatest possibility, to listen to my inspiration,
Yeah.
not to conform
Yes.
to what other people think is important.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I remember. I remember you saying that you not being a success is not helping anyone.
No.
and then you were like, the best service, like the best. The best service to humanity is actually be who you really are, and then excel in what you believe you are brought here to do, and then that's the best service you can offer to humanity, not other things, but just be you fully, and make sure that whatever you do, you exhibit, like the best gifts that you're gifted with.
Yeah. We are all two things. We are all full-time students, and the only job we've got is knowing ourselves,
Yes.
and we are full-time mentors because somebody is copying us.
Not true. I agree. And I think, Dave, that brings us almost to the close of our conversation. Before I close, I would like you to. I know we have a workshop coming. I know Tag is doing a workshop. I'm not sure about the date. I'm not sure about the details. So please tell people when will that workshop be? And I think it's a workshop about the genius of imagination, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, the workshop I've called the genius of imagination because you have to be a genius to rewrite your own script.
Yes.
All right. It's on the 28th of November, Saturday the 28th of November, which still gives people some time, a couple of paydays along the way.
Yeah.
It starts at 8:30 in the morning sharp.
Yes.
Finishes at 5:30.
Okay, so it's a whole day. It's a full day.
It's a whole day, very, very intensive day. It's in Gauteng.
Yes.
We will, when people book, we will give them
the further details.
The details.
Okay. Okay.
So
then, how they book?
All right. Well, they can go onto my website, growthpoint.org.
Okay.
The booking forms and everything are all on the workshop with the brochure. We're going to be putting a link now on what we're doing now.
Yes.
So the link will take them
to there.
Well. My newsletter that goes out that you've got already has got the link in it.
Yes.
As well. So
will you also put some of the events information on your social media platforms?
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. That's really good.
Okay, and anyone who wants to link with me on Facebook, they're welcome.
Who should come and who should not come to the workshop?
Who should come to the workshop?
And who should not? If there's anyone who should not.
All right, let's start with who should not.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have a closed mind and you've actually very happy to live in the world that the media is telling you is reality, stay at home because I'm just going to upset your world completely.
Yeah.
Right? If you tend to be entrepreneurial, you've got dreams that you haven't fulfilled yet, and you want to learn to reactivate and enhance the power of your creativity and your imagination, I can help you. That's what I've been doing for people for almost 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Dave. Much appreciated. And thank you to everyone who has been listening, who has been watching us for almost an hour. Like listening to Dave, offering words of wisdom. So this man is a gold mine. So if I were you, I would do anything that I can to make sure that, I reach out to him via his platforms or reach out to him via his platforms, or reach out to him via his website. So I'll do that, so that if I'm serious about succeeding, if I'm serious about wanting results in my life. One of the main things that Dave taught me was that we very often count what we are losing for doing something, but we don't count what we are losing for not doing it. And I think that's very important. So I remember Dave used to say that you cannot afford not to do certain things, So thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated. Cheers. Bye.